Hello and welcome to this Town Talk special. I'm your host Stephen Downs, and with me as ever is Kane Hall, and the beard of wonder himself, Callum Scott, is back to talk all things Terriers. How are we doing, lads? You having a good Thursday evening?
Yep. Yeah, not bad.
Excellent,
Wow.
mate. Yeah, absolutely excellent.
Wow, positivity. Yes, let's have it. We're going to be talking all things Huddersfield Town over the last week. We've had a positive week. We've had 2 wins and a draw in Wales. And also we're looking forward to our first FA Cup game of the season. Yes, Town are in the FA Cup, sadly, at this stage. And we will be going to Tamworth, where probably we'll lose 3-0. But we'll also be talking about the fact, is the 3-5-2 that Duff plays, what are the pros and cons? And a whole plethora of other things that I'm sure will come up. But first of all, a look back on the week. Callum, I spoke to Kane, obviously, after the Bristol game. I think after the Wrexham game, I can't quite remember Kane, to be fair. But, Carl, we've not talked to you for a little while. How did you think the last week has gone with the results that we've had, mate?
Positive, but expectantly positive. You know what I mean? Like it's good that there's a bit of positivity back around the club after the recent results, but they're not results that you'd write home about. You know what I mean? I still think there are areas that we need to address in terms of making ourselves stronger. That doesn't detract from the fact that, you know, we are five unbeaten in all competitions now.
Yeah.
So that is a positive, and I think at this point we need to start really celebrating these positive moments.
Yeah, we were talking, Kane, on Monday's show, actually, and Lou was saying, you know, do you think Town fans are celebrating the wins enough? And I kind of made the point, look, you know, in the last week we've played Bristol Rovers and we've played Exeter. 2 teams when we came down from the Championship we're expecting to beat, and that we need to beat if we want to go back up. Wrexham's a slightly different issue in that they're up there, they're on a really good run, and you know they spent lots of money and that they're expected to be up there. But the other 2 results, as well as what Exeter have done this season, we do expect to be beating teams such as Exeter. I mean, do you think that we're celebrating the positives and the wins enough, mate?
Again, you've got to define the difference between a win and a performance, which I've previously said, and it's just going to be one of them, Steve, where I'm kind of going to repeat myself quite a few times with this, because they've got the job done by getting 3 points, but the performance has been a bit off. And I say off because it's been boring. It has just been getting 3 points. It's just been getting the job done. There's been nothing fancy about it. You know, Michael Duss mentioned about the atmosphere in the stadium after a win. Well, they've been bored to tears for 80% of the game because it's been so slow. And neither side's really grabbed a hold of it, got the game by the scruff of the neck and taken it to the other. And the teams come up against Huddersfield, especially when Town are at home, and go, oh, well, this is Huddersfield. They're in the Championship last year. They were recently in the Premier League. They've got following at home's pretty decent, to be fair. They're one of the standout teams in the league due to what they pay the players, what players they've got. We have to be really careful here. So a lot of the time, what they're starting to do now is play the same kind of formation as Town, which only plays into Huddersfield's hand because Huddersfield do have the better players. That is the case. But I'm just not seeing a performance from Huddersfield. I'm seeing parts of it, 20 minutes here, and that will go and win the game. But the rest of it, I'm kind of just scratching my head a little bit, bored, waiting for something to happen. But at the end of the day, Town need 3 points, and the chairman and the club want to get promoted. So if that means getting 3 points over having a good performance and getting 3 points, we're going to take it. And I think as a whole, yeah, should take it, because that is the aim. 3 points, get 3 points, get up the league, get back into the Championship. But it would be nice to have some like really attractive football to watch at the same time, which we'll come on to when we talk about the formation, because I do think there is scope for some excellent football to be played. And at times, there's no doubt about it. I'm not saying it's been awful to watch, I'm just saying it's been a little bit slow and a little bit boring, and that's probably where that atmosphere that Michael Duff's mentioned about has come from.
Do you think over the last two games, Cal, that the home games I'm talking about, where Duff has mentioned about the atmosphere? I mean, you're in there in the thick of it, in the Cowshed Loyal particularly. I mean, what's the mood in that part of the stadium? Because normally you guys are the ones that tend to be the trendsetters in terms of the noise.
Yeah, it's always a difficult topic to sort of discuss in terms of there's been a lot of talk about the atmosphere at home not being good enough, to which we've always sort of turned around and said, well, the atmosphere starts with the product on the pitch. If the fans can't get excited about what they're watching, you're never going to generate the sort of atmospheres that we've seen, the sort of famous atmospheres. One that always sticks in my mind was when we beat Brighton at home.
Yeah.
In the promotion season to the Premier League. That was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen at a town game, and that was because things were going so right for us. Obviously, Brighton at the time were in second, we were in third. So things on the pitch have to be going a certain way for the atmosphere to be able to generate in a certain way. And I think there's just been too much negativity around the football club for so long. Fans have become sort of apathetic towards, we go to the football because that's what we do on a Saturday.
Yeah.
We go to the football because we've got a season ticket, because we've always had one. Not we go to the football because the football's good. On which, again, we will come on to when we talk about the tactic, but I think it's going to take time and positive results to get that good atmosphere back. But a lot of it is, as you sort of alluded to there, we're playing teams like Exeter, we're playing teams like Bristol Rovers. These are teams that we are expecting to beat. They're not going to generate an atmosphere when you're doing what you're expected to do.
How do you feel, Kane, about when Duff talks about the trust between himself, the team, and then the trust between sort of connecting them to that sort of trust, and then the trust between the supporters? Do you feel like, and what I would say is, except for the little part under Warnock, which was the miracle, and Corberan, except for the Wagner era, there hasn't been a lot of trust between the team and the supporters, because we've had, dramas and crises one after another. And, do you think, I think personally, I don't know how you feel, but I think Duff understands that that's going to take a long time. And the way that he speaks, he's quite, I know that, sometimes these press conferences can be slightly dull, but I do think he understands where we're coming from as supporters. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, most of his press conferences after a game, especially the home games, and I do quite like him. I like the way he speaks and stuff. But I think in football, when you're asking for trust, you have to show something to gain that trust. Whereas with Warnock, you knew what you were getting, so you were able to trust him. You knew that they were going to work hard, sit in, and when they were going to attack, they will attack. With Corberan, you knew where they were going to press. You knew how they were going to do it. You saw a brand of football.
Yeah.
Same with David Wagner. What did you see with Fotherington? What did you see with Schofield? What did you see with Darren Moore? I didn't see really anything at all.
No.
That's where trust comes from. That is it. Show me that you're going to get the players playing a certain way that the team can get behind. Then that's how you gain trust from the fans. I totally get it. You have to trust. I've been involved in football for a long, long time, coaching, playing, whatever. You have to have a lot of trust in each other. Soon as fans can see that the players trust each other, that they trust the manager, that will feed off. As Cal was saying, in terms of atmosphere in a stadium, if the game is good, fans will get behind it. If the game is great, they're not going to. It works together. If you feel tension in the stadium as a fan, how do you think the players feel? It's even worse. If you can see the players out there enjoying themselves, trusting each other, the fans will see that, they'll feel that, and that is the biggest part of it. As soon as the players trust each other, trust the coach, that will then come off the field, and then the fans will start to trust as well. But it is going to take time because there's still a long way to go. Town have gone down, got Michael Duff, still managed to keep some of the players from the Championship, bought well, and had how many games did they lose in a row?
We lost 5.
Well,
Yeah, 5, I think.
Had that awful spell. Just as things were starting to look like we're going to get some trust in there, you do that, and then start again. So it is going to be a long process when you look at all the factors of what Huddersfield Town are and where they believe they should be. So there's a lot to it than just saying, we'll trust you. You need to show us.
Thanks very much for everybody getting involved with the comments and all the people watching live as well. I can't believe that you're spending your Thursday evening watching us three charming blokes talking about Town. But get involved with the conversation. Thanks to Blue Terrier. He says Saturday was Saturday was a pretty boring game. Not entirely Town's fault, as Exeter set up very defensively, which ended up in just passing the ball around the back, which I was slightly surprised at Exeter. I thought they'd bring more to the party, but maybe my expectancy of a decent League One team was slightly higher than what I expected. I was pretty surprised at Bristol Rovers because I thought they'd do all right, to be honest, but they were absolutely atrocious. And Callum made them look good for half an hour. But I thought the Exeter game was more of a professional display, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was best summed up probably by one of the lads that I go with, that the Exeter game was watching two sides try and fail to play out from the back.
Yeah.
And then what was left was the game of football. I think there is a risk when teams come to play against us, they will attempt to bring a better brand of football than they are capable of. They try and lift their performances to match us, or we have to bring our performances down to sort of not match the opposition, but try to sort of nullify that basic threat that we suffered against teams like Northampton, where, we tried to suffocate them, we tried to play them wide, and then we got caught out by just long ball, simple pass football. So it's very easy to sit here as one of the bigger teams in this division and say we are everyone's cup final, but apart from a very select few teams in this division, that's exactly how we are going to have to look at it.
We'll move on to the conversation about the 3-5-2, the pros and the cons. I know it's kind of a big sort of debate, really, because we've not really played, apart from Darren Moore, and we played that atrociously in the Championship with a pretty dejected and negative team, which ended up in a 5-3-2. It's a pretty big debate again with Town fans, and from my opinion, I think if you play it really well, it is a really dynamic formation that you can get a lot out of. The problem is, for me, when the midfield's not ticking and the wide players aren't creating, the whole system falls to bits because we haven't got pacey centre-backs. Lomvike's probably the paciest one that we've got, and I don't think he's particularly quick and does have a gaff in him. And then the front two don't get a lot of service because the wide people aren't able to put the balls in or they're not playing well. So I think it either works really, really well, as we've seen away at Peterborough, as we've seen away at Bolton, and a number of occasions this season. And then we've seen it work really badly, Blackpool, Northampton, etc. Ken, what would you say the pros are to a 3-5-2? And then I'll ask you about the cons.
Yeah, but so we should have come to the cons first. I've got loads to say. No, what I do like about the formation is the midfield get so involved in the attack. And look at how many goals Ben Wiles has scored so far this year. Got to say, Serby Kane assists, and it does help out the attack. So you got your two strikers who you just got to split down the field, so they've got a half each to work in.
Yeah.
Lengthways, but it's for me, it's about how the midfield can go and support in the attack. So what we found as a club over the last few years is there's been nobody in the box. There's been one player in the box, and I'm player like Sorba Thomas, who loves to make an assist, loves to whip the ball in. He's had one person to aim for 2-3 years. It's been really hard for him. He'd be absolutely loving it in this formation because most of the time he's got two players in the box, which are both strikers. He's got a midfielder making the third man run, and quite a fair bit of the time he's got an extra man coming in over at the far side as well. So it gives you such good options in the attack, which is what we've seen. Now, can I go on to my cons now?
Yeah, of course you can.
Midfield have to work so hard. They have to work so hard. So do the wing backs. It's just they're up and down and up and down and out of position. I'm talking about the midfield, the two central midfielders, which is great because we're seeing them going forward. But sometimes we're seeing them go too wide. It's like the reason they're going too wide is because either one of the strikers isn't doing it, or they want to be too central, or they're going trying to find a space, or they're having to get out there because the fullback's not there.
Yeah.
So they're having to do other people's jobs just a little bit more. And also what we're finding is the two strikers can be quite narrow. So they're in each other's space. If it works well, if they are settled, which isn't always happening, we're finding a ball coming from the centre half to the striker, dropping it for a midfield, it's going to the other striker. They can turn and switch out. Lovely, which is great. But the midfield are working so hard, they're not always in position. And I'm also looking for an outlook. I'm always looking for an outlook. Where is your next pass? Where's your next pass? Where's the third pass? Where's the fourth pass? I'm trying to find these options now. Michael Dust has been talking a lot about his passing options and where they are. And I love that because he has got plenty if they're all set, but they just can't seem to do it. David Kasumo, since he's come back into the squad, has been absolutely superb. He's been absolutely fantastic in the middle. But he's having to do a lot on his own because the two other midfielders have been allowed so much freedom to go forward, which is fine. But then you're asking a lot for him. And you're asking a lot from your fullbacks, or the wing backs, sorry, should I say. I don't mind a three at the back at all. But I don't want my attacking wing back who's just gone on an attack after sprint 90 yards back to come and cover his right back duties as well. That's why you've got the three. That's why Matty Pearson at the moment is absolutely superb for his right centre half positioning, because he can play right back and play centre half.
Yeah.
You split the field into three. He has all of that side. You have someone in the central, someone on third, on the other side. They cover all of that, and then the players can come back. You could, by doing that and allowing them players to come and use that role a little bit more, your midfielders will start to slowly come back. Not all of them sprint, but Kasumo can come sit in there. He marks a space. What he does really well, Kasumo, it's taken him a couple of games to understand the role a little bit more. But he doesn't need to come wide. You don't need him to come wide. He needs to stay central.
Yeah, I agree.
The more central he is, the easier it is for him to break down everything.
And arguably, when Kasumu comes out of the side, say if he gets injured or whatever, and Hoggy has to come in, obviously Hoggy's not got the legs that Kasumu has. You want Hoggy to be central. You don't want him going out to the wide areas because he's not quick enough and he ain't got the legs to get back into the centre areas now.
You don't need a CDM to go wide. That's not their role. You don't need a CDM to go wide. That's what other people are for. Your CDM is there to control everything through the middle of the park. Ain't no one scoring from the touchline. That's not happening. But someone will come through the middle and score. So you've got to break that up. And like I say, I do think when Kasuma's in there, he works really hard. But I just think there's a lot to ask for the midfield, or the midfield five as such. And then in terms of an attacking option, I do think sometimes we lack an outlet because we're seeing the ball go from right to left through the defence, which is what Blue Terrier said. We're seeing a lot of the ball going through the defence and around the back, is because we're going down a channel. We're finding his wing back who's not too far forward, and then there's two central strikers around the middle somewhere. We've got one midfielder, one CDM close, and then the others right on the far side. So we're not finding them nice little options down each channel to then get a ball whipped in. And I think during pre-season, what we did really well was first time crosses straight into the box. We really put people under pressure. And at the moment, it's kind of we're having to take 5 touches before we decide what we're doing. And again, I don't understand why we do that, because as mentioned before, I think there's so many chances to attack in this shape, in this formation, and Duffy's constantly talking about his patterns of play, his passing, his options through there. Get that ball moved quicker. They could absolutely destroy teams if they did that, but they don't, and I just don't get why.
Callum, from your point of view, the pros and cons for you on the 3-5-2, and how do you think we've used it so far?
I think we've used it frustratingly. I don't think we've used it well enough. I think in the system like that, it gives chance to absolutely destroy teams, which we've been doing for a good 20 minutes of a game, but it also then gives the ability to be absolutely passive tactically, because you can just knock the ball round the players, try to make penetrative runs, knowing that there's players going to be there, but ultimately those runs are going to get picked off by the defence. That sometimes it feels we can be a little bit too rigid.
Yeah.
In what should be a fast-flowing system, it feels like we can be a little bit too static and sort of easy to predict.
Static, Cal. Very static. I feel as if sometimes they're watching and they're waiting for somebody else to do something with it.
Yeah, and that the best way of sort of looking at that metric would be to look at how many misplaced passes we are making per game, because it's almost like there are players anticipating where maybe players have been in training or where they should be, considering what they've been the message the coach is trying to get across. But come a game situation where you've been heavily marked by some of these players that we're finding in League One, absolute beasts of the midfield, you're not able to do what you've been asked to do for 90 minutes. And instead of coming up with an answer to that, we're almost trying to force the point home rather than adapt, which is not what the tactic is.
I find it interesting, Callum, that in this good spell that we've had, the four sides we've done well against also play a 3-5-2 system. So to me now, going forward, take Tamworth out of it, which we'll come on to, but going forward, we're going to be playing in the next few weeks, sides that don't play a 3-5-2 system. And the period where we lost all them games were against sides that didn't traditionally or don't now play a 3-5-2 system. So how are we going to come through the next period where we're playing against those sides that have a totally different outlook of how to play the game? I find that really interesting.
Yeah, I think this is my problem with the tactic as a whole, is that it's not meant to be, but it is very, very static. We're not changing to play against teams. We're sort of waiting for them to come on to us, finding out our tactic doesn't work, and then it's like we're trying to bluster our way through 90 minutes.
Yeah.
What I would say on that, Steve, as well, is just mentioned, once we play, if a side plays the same kind of formation, it's all about the better players. Town have that. When they play against a different formation, easiest way to beat Huddersfield Town, 4-3-3, and send it down the diags, and you'll score, because you'll get behind the wing back and the centre half on the either side, because both of them are confused, don't really know what they need to do in defence. Keep hammering that on them. You'll just turn Huddersfield Town around. You'll get in behind them. You'll pull it back, because the midfielder are already having to do tons of work, sprinting everywhere. They'll get tired. It only takes a bit of time until they go and score a goal by doing that. It's the easiest way to beat Town. This is another corner of the formation. Yes, it's great attacking wise, but if you're up against a different kind of formation, a team with a bit of a, I don't want to say a bit of a brain, or a bit more of a direct approach in in a decent formation where you're really putting the pressure on the Town defence,
Yeah.
that's where Town struggle.
You talked about David Kasumu, and I think he has played really well since coming back into the team. But I found it interesting on Saturday against Exeter how Kane sat back more, and I don't know whether that was because of a fitness thing or what, but it seemed to be that Kane started the game in front of Kasumu, and the longer the game went on, Kasumu moved up the pitch and Kane sat. And I don't know if that was a tactical switch by Duff or whether that's just because Kane's not very fit and he wanted to go in that CDM role. But yeah, I find that interesting. And obviously Ben Wiles, he's in the number 10 sort of floaty role, which is probably the best position for him. Obviously, one of the goals, I think it was against Bristol Rovers, where Duff wanted to go out of his way after the game to say how good Ben Wiles' positioning was. And I think we spoke about it as well, Kane. But like I said, the midfield, there's so much complexity in there. Sometimes it's interesting to see as the game goes on, but it's also quite hard to understand. And I just wonder whether that's difficult or has been difficult for the players to get used to and understand that complexity. And as the season goes on, hopefully that will get easier.
I think there's a bit truth in that, as in terms of they're trying to understand, get a feel for the formation, as well as being frustrated as a footballer on the pitch because you want to go and win, you want to be on the ball. Herbie Kane's a player that loves to be on the ball, and all about how he can assist and his ball passing skills. If he's struggling in terms of not being able to get on the ball, can't turn, can't find a pass, he will naturally drop deeper to try and get hold of it. I think that's all it was, Steve, to be honest with you. I just think he wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck and get a hold of the ball and try and find a forward pass because, as people have said that Exeter were quite deep. I thought they were quite in a pretty similar formation. Therefore, it's hard for Kane to get in them kind of positions further forward that he'd want to. So dropping a little bit deeper, he gives himself that time and space to find a pass. And as Michael Duff says as well, every time he speaks, he wants the lads to be patient. So coming out, being patient, getting in touch with the ball, see if they can drag some of the opposition players out. I generally just think it was nothing more than the fact that he just wanted to be on the ball and saw coming deeper a chance to do that.
Yeah. Blue Terrier says it'll be interesting to see how we play against Charlton. He thinks that Nathan Jones will have his team ready to play against us. Charlton is coming up. That's going to be one of the bigger games. I talked about it on Monday where, again, going back to this expectation of beating teams such as Bristol and Exeter, bar Blackpool and the teams that we've played away, Peterborough and Bolton, we haven't really played any other big heads, bar Wrexham, obviously. So, we have had a lot of the easier sort of fixtures, I would say. And for the majority of it, we've come through them. Northampton and Blackpool, we haven't. So we're probably coming up to a period of fixtures now where we are going to be playing some of the better teams that are going to be up there, Cal. And it's kind of going to be a bit of a crunch time of our season, I think.
Yeah, and if I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried, because
when are you not worried?
Oh yeah, exactly. But, despite form, it's not really built on anything.
No,
the victories have been victories, but not resounding victories. You know what I mean? And I also think because of the roles that we've talked about tonight and because of what players have been asked to do, we're putting them in a position where injuries are more likely because they've been asked to do more than what they're used to. However, we're also asking players to do more than what our squad depth would allow.
Yeah.
So you look at Kasumu's role and what he's been asked to do. What player would come in from the bench and be able to do that role just as well at the moment? And I think you struggle to get an answer. We don't lack squad depth, but we do lack squad experience in terms of the way Duff's asking them to play is rigorous and difficult, and you can't just pick it up coming off the bench.
The answer's Hoggy to that, but as I've said, Hoggy doesn't have the legs really anymore to probably do the workload that Kasumu's putting in, unfortunately.
Exactly. So it's the answer to that is Hoggy, but only halfway, because he won't be able to move the midfield and be that pivot in transition that Kasumu's trying to be.
Yeah, I think you made an interesting point, Kane, about Pearson, and he really has been a tower of strength. And to be fair, you were calling for him to come into the team, well before even Duff put him in. And I kind of think Spencer could have a similar sort of pivotal role in the left centre back sort of area, because he knows how to play full back as well. I do think you make a decent point there about the fact that as that sort of centre back pivot, you need to kind of have a good sort of role of and know-how of how a full back / wing back works.
Yeah, I'd like to see that position of a wing whack. It's an interesting one.
So would I.
But I kind of disagree with you, Steve, because Spencer's
all right.
a right
See you later.
Yeah, Spencer's a right back.
But he has played left back.
He's played left back, right? He has played left back, but he's so comfortable at right back, and he's learning his trade. Don't need to be swapping and changing him out into centre half as well. They put him there because he's an absolute brute. Because he gets up, he'll make a tackle. He's hard as nails. He'll carry on. He'll crack on. I want to see him start flourishing in right back.
Yeah,
and then he can kind of do what Mike Pearson does as he gets older. And I really feel for Spencer, because Duff's obviously changed the formation and he wants wing backs. I think Spencer can do it, but he's not that much of an attacker. He's a brute force right back, and that's what I really like about him.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Paul Dixon in a sense, where he's kind of that solid defensive fullback, but he's definitely not a jackal. He can't get on the ball, take 3 people on, and put a decent cross in.
But you don't need him to if you play it right. You don't need him to. He's good on the ball, makes a pass, 1-2, gets round, puts himself in the good areas. I just don't want to see him playing left centre half. It's not his position. No. I'd rather not see him playing right centre half either. I want to see him play right back. Yeah. I reckon he can do that wing back role, 100%. He just might not be as fast as Sorensen, but he can do it.
One of the areas that is key to the 3-5-2 is obviously the strikers. Duff talks about the fact that the strikers have to put a lot of work in, which they do. I feel like we haven't got a settled front two, although in the last couple of games, Marshall's definitely played and stepped up. And then you have had Radulovic. He was ill in the last game. And then Ward came in and did really well against Wrexham, and did a decent job against Exeter. But what is the perfect front two, Cal, that we've got at the moment, do we think? I presume that Marshall is taking up one of the roles, but
Marshall, and then whatever striker we sign in January, because Radulovic and Ward are not the answer to whatever the question is. They are simply not good enough. Ward is not fast enough.
It's quite clear then.
Ward is not fast enough and is made of glass, and Radulovic is just not good enough and doesn't like Huddersfield. So, minus points for that as well.
But what about Ladapo?
I'm not even going to justify that with an answer.
Okay. So you definitely, but we've got to play with one of them up until January. So who are you putting in there, Cal?
Callum Marshall, just leave him up there, and then just one of the other ones as his sideshow. Don't matter which one, because Callum Marshall's going to be scoring the goals.
Right, Callum. Kane, I feel like you're going to try and defend Radulovic here somehow.
I would do, but what I would say is also, beginning of the end of last season, he probably let the best League One goal scorer of his generation go. So your best front two were Jordan Rhodes and Callum Marshall. Standard. Yeah,
we haven't got that option.
Well, it's a stupid option. Whoever signed Danny Ward for a few more years. Well, right.
Do you
Okay,
accept that Danny? But hang on, whoa! I just want to put a case in point here. Do we accept that Danny Ward has put in 2 decent performances in the
No.
last 2 games?
No.
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 So not even at Wrexham, where everybody
No.
said that he did all right.
It was 0-0.
I don't.
No, I get that. I can see. I know I'm blind, Cal, but I did see the scoreline. Yeah.
Look, I'll be very honest. I'm very critical of Danny Ward whenever I comment it, and I'm probably too harsh. I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, right? I'm sure he's a lovely bloke.
I forgot about Josh
and I've
Canova.
never met him. But in terms of what I watch, I don't understand. And I think I mentioned when he came off at the weekend that Town were back to 11 players because he doesn't offer any. I don't understand what he offers. The way to get Danny Ward, the best out of Danny Ward in a team, is playing 3 up front and putting him on the right wing where he doesn't have to hold up the ball and he can just do a little bit of chasing. And when he gets it out there, out on the right hand side, he can cut in on the left and take a shot. That's what he likes to do. I've never ever seen him as a central striker. I don't get it. I think he won 1 header at the weekend and then lost the ball straight away. And I cheered because he won a header, but then he lost it. I don't understand what people see. He's just not for me. It's not enough. Like I say, I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, whatever. I've never met him. But just stay away. So my front 2, sorry, Steve, is Callum Marshall and Radulovic. I do think he's just starting to find his feet again. I do think his link-up play is pretty good. He has been poor, granted. He's soft as. He thinks he's playing in the Premier League. He needs to toughen up a little bit, stop falling on the ground. Because if he does, he could become a decent player. And I think he can finish that ball, put that ball in the box. Bit of confidence. He'll put the ball in the back of the net. I know Blue Terriers put JK. Yeah, not a striker either.
Okay, Callum, not having Josh Canova either. You're not happy with anybody, it seems.
In fact, you know what, Steve? You know what? I'd put Michael Helik and Matty Pearson up there because they're 2 ones who score goals.
It's the same logic, though, isn't it? We keep asking the question, and in some quarters, the answer is always let's play players out of position, and then wonder why they don't do what we've asked them to do.
Well, if we're honest, Kane's just taken that to the nth degree. You might as well have put Chapman and Nichols up there, hasn't he? To be fair.
Let's not get silly, Steve.
Oh yeah, come on. Yeah.
Nichols is
goal scorer last year, Helik.
Yeah, I know.
Pearson's got 4 this year.
Yeah, it's bad though, isn't it? When you centre backs are your biggest scorers, it's.
I mean, what's funny? That sounds really bad, and then you realise that wasn't the worst problem last year.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, let's move on. So we seem to be all agreed that Callum Marshall is the one, and another one could be whoever.
We've been tracking the striker that we're going to sign in January since last Christmas.
Yeah.
So they'll say something like that.
Okay. So let's move on to this weekend's game. We've got Tamworth away in the FA Cup. Is anybody going?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm not because I'm in a different country, but I hope the Town fans that are going enjoy the delights of Tamworth on Friday night. I'm sure there'll be lots to do, as well as watch the football. FA Cup, how much does it mean to you lads now? Obviously, we're kind of all younger lads. Didn't watch the FA Cup in the 70s or the 80s necessarily, where it was absolutely massive and part of everybody's day. So how important is it to you lads? Kane, you go first.
Yeah, good question, Steve, to be fair. For myself, I've played in the FA Youth Cup and I enjoyed that. It was a great experience. Managed to beat one of our rivals, and then we ended up going away to Fylde on a Monday evening, which was just horrendous. But it was fantastic to be involved in that side of it.
Yeah,
I coached in the Women's FA Cup. I took a team to the 3rd qualifying round. We beat a team in the league above us, and then we beat a team in the 2 leagues above us, and then we played a team in 3 leagues above us, and we eventually stopped there. But to be involved in them was just absolutely incredible as a small team. In terms of stature on both sides of it was just such a great experience. And I think the FA Cup now is all about these non-league teams. It's watching them grow and watching the run that they go on. Tamworth, this is a massive game for them. This is huge. It's something that town fans, town players, management, coaches, whatever, probably aren't getting excited about. But I bet the buzz around the Tamworth club right now is absolutely mental. And I'd love to be a part of it, because that is what it's about, getting a big team in, at your ground and make them feel intimidated in small changing rooms.
You can be, mate. Go and sit in home end if you want.
No, but no,
cheer against us if you fancy.
I might do, Steve, because that's what it's about. You want the underdog to go and win it. Remember when Spurs played at Marine the other year? It was fantastic watching that.
Yeah,
you just want the feel good factor. You want to see these small clubs do well. So I think, as a whole, I think the FA Cup's a little bit ruined.
By clubs like us.
No, just the bigger clubs and how you can allow goal line technology and VAR in only certain games in it. It's a load of. It needs to be the same for everybody across. That is what the FA Cup is about. That everyone's on the same level playing field.
Let's not get into VAR. We could be sat in hours.
What I'm saying is the FA Cup is about everyone being on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And that gets taken out of it. The higher up you go, depending which ground you're playing at, who you're against, that gets taken out of it. Scrap it and just make it a level playing field for everybody, because these little clubs deserve it.
Callum, I remember when Dover came and played us, must have been 12, 13 years ago now, and they came up, they wore orange shirts and black shorts, and there were about 30 fans from Dover. There was only like 5,000 town fans in the ground, but it was a hell of an atmosphere, to be fair, like for an FA Cup game, because they came and gave it a real good go, and obviously we're expecting a similar sort of atmosphere. It'll be a close, tight little knit ground, AstroTurf pitch, so we're it's different to what the players have been used to for a long time. We've gone and trained at Bradford Park Avenue for 2 days on their AstroTurf pitch, so it's going to be a really interesting tie, and there definitely is a chance of an upset.
I think in cup games like that they set everything up almost to go against the bigger side, because if there's a chance of an upset, you want to exploit it absolutely comprehensively. Like, I don't have many good memories of the FA Cup with Town, because we're always sort of drawn, especially when we come in at the third round. We never get ties like this.
No.
And obviously you want Town to win games, but little football nerd inside me goes, yeah, but could Tamworth do it? How good would that be? And like, when I were at FC United, one of the best things that we did, we get to the first round proper and we played Doncaster at home. It was massive for the club to have gone through 4 qualifying rounds to get to that. And then there's a second wave of COVID and there's no fans in the ground. And it's on BBC One. So you watch it at home, but you think, right, you see the work that goes into getting these teams to play teams like us. And it's a hell of a lot more for them than it is for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Kane said, this will be massive for Tamworth. There will be such a buzz around that town now, and that football club will be so looking forward to it, because, we sit in a position where we're a football club that's, especially with this new broadcast deal, we're on telly for our big games. Yeah. Tamworth are a football club that may never have been on terrestrial television. And there's no guarantee that they will again. So they're going to take this moment against us for absolutely everything that it brings them.
Yeah.
And good on them.
No, certainly. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it for sure. And, I hope that we get through it. Listen, I love the FA Cup. I love everything that it brings. I love the history of it. I think I totally agree with you, lads, that, for these non-league teams. It can literally mean life and death in terms of the football club and whether it survives. 20 grand, I mean, something like that, to just get through a round is absolutely vital. The blood life of these teams. So listen, as much as what I appreciate Tamworth going on and doing, I hope that we do beat them. And we get through to the second round where we can draw Charlton away or Reading at home. That'd be super.
Literally just about to say that.
We've never played. We've never played them in the FA Cup before, have we? Just to wrap up before we wrap up, guys. Callum, scoreline for Friday night, mate.
2-1 Town.
And goal scorers.
Chapman and Nichols.
Right. Real goal scorers.
Callum Marshall, 2.
Okay.
Onion bag.
Kane.
4-0 Town. And we're going to see Ladapo score, Tom Iapenda score,
Yes.
Tom Lee score.
Well, I agree with 2 of those goal scorers. Tom Lee's, who knows?
I think we both know which one we mutually disagree on.
No, he's not going to score it. It's going to be deflected off him and go in.
Right. Well, that still counts as a goal. And then the other, presumably the other one was an own goal then.
No, I've not decided on a fourth. That might.
Okay.
You never know. Tom Lees might get 2.
And Wales outside the box.
Imagine if that happens. We get a bet on that now. Kane's called it. Tom Lees score 2 goals. Both.
Remember pitchforks and torches outside Kane's house then.
Both being deflected. Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for everybody joining us on this Town Talk podcast. It's been absolutely fantastic to have everybody's comments, Blue Terrier getting involved and everybody else. Callum, Zach, not Zach, sorry.
Whoa, boo.
I turn up most weeks, pretty much every week. I get called Zach, who barely turns up.
Callum, Kane, I hope you have a great rest of the week.
No, you ruined the evening. My poor lads, I'm coaching tonight. My poor lads are going to get the end of it because of you.
All right, okay. Well, that's bad for them. Kane, Kane, and much for joining us on the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. See you later. Bye.